Look at this. This is what f1.2 looks like on a full frame camera. Look how lovely the background looks. I haven't even got my light on. Anyway, today's video is a comprehensive tutorial on how to photograph Kimmeridge Bay, which is a particularly lovely part of Dorset. Two new features of today's video. First up, I'm going to be sharing all of my camera settings from this point onwards. I know some of you are new to photography, so hopefully that is helpful. Second new feature, I'm using a new app which is called What 3 Words. I'm not associated with it, it's a free app. And essentially what I can now do is tell you within 3 meters exactly where I took a photograph. For example, Kimmeridge Bay, the main ledge that we were photographing on, doesn't have a postcode. The beach generally might have a postcode, but that's not helpful. If you said, Ben, where exactly on the beach where did you take the photograph from? So alongside every single photograph, I'm going to give you the 3-word location so that you can use the app and find the exact same composition. Right, on with the show. Let's go to Dorset.
Is that your boot?
Yeah.
Cool, blimey.
Can't focus on him because he's too...
It's like a Grand Tourer, isn't it? You could fit loads in there.
Yeah.
Yes. Classic photographer's car. I mean, you could fit a mirrorless camera in there. We got this place ourselves. We didn't even have to pay a toll charge.
Oh yeah.
Winning! I was about to say, that's quite slippery, be careful.
That is literally the slippiest thing I've ever stood on.
It'd be a good composition if you were to go and stand out on the rock.
Oh yeah, I should jump from one to the other.
They won't be slippery because they're already wet.
Yeah. You're so waiting for an epic fail, aren't you?
No. How are we doing for time? 6? About 6 o'clock in the morning. I am at Kimmeridge Bay this morning. It's not a beautiful sunrise, but I'll work with what I've been given. I am here with my friend John White in the background here, and Martin Johnson's over here. John and I stayed in Corfe last night, and then Martin was just local, so he came and joined us. But we all live together in Brighton. Not together in one house, and that would be weird. At the moment this is medium tide, so John's just scoping out some stuff. This is slippery as hell. Look at him just tiptoeing. Obviously we're going to be doing some long exposures, probably black and white. There's not much colour happening in this scene. We've got, this is the main jagged thing that's jutting out into the sea, and then there is another one to the east. We're spending as long as we want here, there's no rush. Today is Kimmeridge Bay Day. John, those rocks have gone. I've not told John here the secret to getting awesome images when it's overcast. You have to put your white balance to cloudy and then you get a beautiful sunrise. Shh! How are we doing, John?
Alright, alright. Some chode has put his camera in my shot, but chode.
Chode?
Chode. I think it's like a piece of poo that hangs off your bum.
I've learned something today. Thank you for that education.
Yeah.
This is really shady camera positioning. This camera is on a hill which is covered in moss, so you could just go bye-bye any minute. Wellies in this location are an absolute must. Good wellies with traction. John, what do you reckon? Yeah. Wellies with grip go a long way here.
Wellies without traction, not so much.
I think I'm going to abort. I took a handful of long exposures whilst I was at this location, and this is the only one that I'm remotely happy with. It's a bit flat, it could do with some direct light, but you work with what you're given, and you'll see later on in this video that the tides happen very quickly here, so this is the best of a bad bunch. Don't slip over. Do you know what really helps with the sky? If you add blue, it looks really blue. Ah, safe. We're back on the grey rocks. John's braving it out there. The tide quickly receded and we had no choice but to leave the main ledge. The whole thing was a bit of a rush really, which explains why this is my 3rd time here and I still haven't got any images that I'm happy with. We're moving around the bay to the east because there's a cheeky little waterfall around there. Let's find out if we're about to get cut off by the tide or not. That was, again, impressive. John White, everybody. Terrible at photography. Good at skimming. Come on, Martin, do some skimming. No. Capture your childhood. That happened.
What was that?
Which one do you think you do?
Definitely go right. I don't do anything unless it's got ultra in front of it.
Do you want to do an ultra long exposure whilst ultra skimming?
Ultratography, that's what I do.
It's not long after sunrise, but even though we're getting a bit more interest in the sky, it's miserable and it's not a perfect day. John and I booked this getaway weekend about a month ago. You've got to go through with it. You're not going to cancel the hotel, and the tide is now in. It's a really nice waterfall over there, but you can't get to it from this side of the beach because you'll get cut off. And everything to the west, there's a risk that will get cut off by the tide. So what we're going to do is go back to the hotel, have some breakfast, and we'll be back here this afternoon when the tides and hopefully the sky will be working in our favour. In the meantime, I think Martin's going to be leaving us, so he might be back. Martin might be back this afternoon.
Yeah, it's coming. We were here this morning. Shall I say that? That's not even a lie.
We need to bribe this lady so she'll let us down to Kimmeridge Bay.
5 then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
There it is. Look, your genuine ticket this time.
Ticket. Oh, smells like money.
Where's John? John's gone to go to the toilet. I've just given him a walkie-talkie. I'm going to give him a bit of a surprise in a minute. Why have we got walkie-talkies? Well, because this beach, if we split up, there's no mobile signal down there, so I was just planning ahead. I thought it was quite a smart idea, actually. The purpose of today's video is to educate you all about Kimmeridge Bay. I've been here 3 times now, I think. What opportunities there are at low tide, medium tide and high tide. John, are you okay over there? Over. Why are you hiding in the bushes? Over.
Both my hands are occupied. I couldn't reach the radio.
It's almost loads of opportunity at low tide.
Yeah.
Because when we rocked up this morning, it was almost too late. This is as good as low tide at Kimmeridge Bay. We were cut off by the tide at sunrise, but we're heading round to the east, to the east side, where it is a waterfall. I've seen bigger, but there is a waterfall round here which we're making our way around to.
Take that.
That's double long exposure set up here.
50?
Portrait shot.
50 mil.
Portrait.
Yeah.
John's claiming that as his.
You can have it as well.
That's his now. I'm just going to get in the middle of John's shot. Anyway, this is low tide, and if you carry on all the way around to the east, you get to this waterfall here. If you were to get cut off by the tide, then you just walk up that way. But it's a longer walk back to that car park over there where most people park. Let me talk you through exactly what I'm up to here. I've got a vertical composition, and the theory is you've got long exposure to the water coming down, which is a highlight. So that water in the foreground, that's a highlight that leads you into the photograph. Then you've got the dark rocks and everything, and then your eye is drawn up to the top of the waterfall. That's the plan anyway. Let's see if it comes out. Here's another image I'm not particularly happy with. I like the composition, but this scene needs sunlight. I tried to convert the image to black and white, but all of the tones are so similar that it just became extremely flat, so it just didn't work. I saw that.
Yeah.
I thought it was your camera.
No. Macro. Let that be a lesson. Always make sure your bank's on up.
I heard it thud from over here.
Yeah. It looks like it landed a bit on there.
Since John dropped his Sigma, he says it's sharper now. I'm not suggesting that you drop your lenses, but he said, oh, that looks pretty crispy. So this is the composition. You've got waterfall, land on the horizon and reflections. Pretty simple. And here is the shot. Nothing too dissimilar from the last image, pretty much the same settings as well, but what this shows you is that there are a few different compositions from the same place. You just got to go there at the right time of day. Then I decided to stop shooting so wide. I've cropped in nice and tight on this, and you start to get the contrast. You've got the dark rocks and you've got the white from the moving water. This image works a lot better than the others. I think we're going to pack up and we're going to head across there and enjoy the tide coming in, getting our feet wet. It's not been released yet, but this is the new John filter holder system.
Yeah.
This is it's going to be on the market in late 2019. There's only one available, and it has a maximum limit of 60-second exposures holding filters in front of your camera. It's so 1997. Today was supposed to be raining all day. It wasn't. It was spitting a little bit. There is actually some interest in the sky. So I will probably convert these to black and white. Perfect conditions for long exposure. Can't complain. We have made our way out to the midpoint of the main ledge. The main ledge is the one closest to the entrance where the bunkers are. As you get towards the end, it becomes less rocky and more mossy. So this is what you can expect. And from this point onwards, this is where all your interesting rock foreground, and this is where the action's happening. So we're just going to chill out for a bit, wait for the tide to come in. It's been a good day.
It's going to be legendary.
Oh! He's been smashing the dad jokes out all day.
What have we found out that would be useful to other people on the internet?
There's a lot to photograph here. The tide's constantly fluctuating. At sunrise this morning, that was too quick to manage the tides coming in.
Kimmeridge Bay has a double tide. When I was doing my research, I couldn't find anyone that actually told me whether it was better to shoot at high tide or low tide. I think the answer to that is a receding tide about middle height. Super high tide, forget it, almost everything's gone, and super low tide, there's no water around the nice stuff. So
agreed.
It's slippy as almost certainly you'll crack your pelvis at least once.
Okay, well this is the western side of the bay. Very different vibe about it. It looks like elephant skin. Yeah, really nice around here. That looks like an alligator skin. I've had to edit out the main part of the joke because it's not for the internet, but all you need to know is that the punchline is, what's your favourite bone?
What's your favourite bone?
You right? Nothing broken, apart from your dignity.
Well, I landed on my camera bag.
Do you want to watch it back yet, or too soon?
What's your favourite bone?
Did we mention yet that it's quite slippery out here? Right, if you were looking for a shot with interesting foreground and the tower, this is a pretty good shot. You got this almost C-shaped leading line portrait. Another potential foreground interest. Here it is, the photographer standoff for tripod positions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who will win the battle of the tripods? Okay, so tide is coming in pretty quick. Once you get down to this end of the rocks, you can see the water's coming in now. You get all this jaggedy sweetness in your composition, but the tide is coming in quickly, and it's attacking us from the side. So you put your camera bag down and you've got to pick it back up again. So you can see we're over here. I've got a 3-minute exposure going on, and by the time I'm done, I'm gonna have to move the camera back. It's not been overlooked that there are now just 3 of us. One of the kids didn't make it. He's just slipped in the water. He's gone.
Slipped on the slime.
I would have helped him, but I was doing a long exposure at the time.
Yeah.
So I had to let him go. Got anything to add to the pressure of the receding tide?
Not really. I mean, if there's a place to fall over, I'll find it today, so you don't worry about that.
Nobody wants wet feet in a pub.
Yeah.
You might not be allowed in, and then what?
Yeah. You'd have to take your shoes off.
He's the guy without any shoes on in the pub.
I don't know.
He's a dedicated photographer, that's who he is. Well, from being at that end to almost at the beginning, how long would you say? 15 minutes? Less than 15 minutes. You've got a 15-minute window to step your tripod back and back and back and back. Get the shot, move back, get the shot, move back. Yeah. It's exciting, but you've got to be set up and ready to go, especially if there's more than one of you, because you're constantly sharing tripod space. You'd be lucky if you have this place yourself.
It's a bit like in those army movies when they sort of cover and move, isn't it?
That's it, you take the bullets, then
cover,
come to the back.
Cover, move, fall over, laugh, get it on video, review, cover, move.
Well, our fun here at Kimmeridge Bay has come to an end. We are going to go to the pub, have a drink, have some dinner, and reflect on the day. And maybe we'll be back tomorrow. Here are 3 of my favourite images that I took at that sunset. I call it a sunset. It was towards the end of the day. The settings on all 3 of the images are pretty much the same. You've got about 100-second exposure. I increased the ISO to 400 because I didn't want that long an exposure. The tide was coming in so fast. If you were to do a 4 or 5 minute exposure here, you would only get 1 photograph. We're back, and there is light.
There is something different in the sky. Look over there.
Look. Another 5 AM start. It's time. We're moving along the ledge. As you can tell from my beautiful glowy features, the sun is happening, tides are happening. Let's make a move. So let's see if John agrees. At the moment we are not going for a very long exposure just because the tide comes in so quickly here you could miss it. So we're pushing up the ISO a little bit so that we're getting 2 minutes.
I'm thinking I'm going to run with about 90 seconds because about every 2 minutes the sky gets so much brighter that what was 2 minute exposure when you started is probably not by the time you finish.
So I'm shooting with a 2-stop hard edged grad filter and a 10-stop filter, and that's it. If I had more light I'd probably add a polarizer just to get rid of some of the sheen on the rocks, but that would be about an 8-minute exposure, so I'm not into that right now. Whew. So this is my 4th time to Kimmeridge Bay. Yesterday, today, and I've been here over the years, and now I understand properly why I've been unsuccessful so many times, and that's because the tides change so quickly here from the ledges up there to the ledges back there. You've got about a 15-minute window, and if you're doing 2-minute exposures, that's 8 photos without any moving your camera. In terms of landscape photography, this location is a bit of a rush. This makes me feel so uncomfortable. Look, this is in equilibrium. John's camera is literally, if you were to fart at it, it would go.
Yeah.
This is how you live your life.
There's not enough room with your bloody tripod legs in the good shooting spot.
Please just hold your tripod or something. Look, this makes me so nervous. This is ledge 1, this is the main ledge, closest to the bunkers. Oh, can't do this back to front. We call this ledge 1, the main ledge, and then if you head just to the east, maybe 100 metres, that is ledge 2. We're just finishing up here. This is what the scene looks like at the moment. Beautiful. But there is another ledge over that way, which is it's different. It's got different zigzags. It's got different jags, as John keeps calling them. It's been changing very, very quickly. This is ledge 2, this is still very high tide. It's just got a different vibe about it to the other one. No change in settings or anything really, you just got to find a nice composition. I'm shooting portrait. I've actually been in the water and that's my shot. This gentleman that we've just bumped into runs workshops here, so he knows his way around. What he's saying is, now that it's high tide, if we head over to the west side, which John and I are calling the elephant skin sort of area, there are some pools there that work perfectly. So Kimmeridge Bay really does offer lots. Apparently it's slippery, yeah.
Yeah. I knew a guy once who slipped over.
He pulled it off, he styled it out.
Yeah.
So, although the sun has been up for an hour and a half, this is still side lit.
Yeah.
We can still get all the textures from this. I'd say we've been lucky, but this is now getting very challenging. When the sun rose, there were clouds, Lovely, soft, diffused light. Long exposures was easy. I think we're going to call it a day. The sun has just been up for too long now. It's about an hour and a half after sunrise, so it's way too strong. Let's head back to the car if we've not been cut off by the tide. That's the cliff, 1 metre that way. That's the tide, 1 metre that way.
That's the pinch point right there.
That was exciting. I'm done now.
And there you go. That is everything you need to know about taking photographs at Kimmeridge Bay. Hopefully you only have to go there the once. I've been there 4 or 5 times now, and I've finally got some images that I'm happy with. Thanks for watching the video. See you next time.
As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.
Hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a single video.